Nintendo Switch Sports. Available now only on Nintendo Switch.
あれからどのぐらい経ったのだろうか。66年前、エイダと出会った年のこと。
ここは多分龍脈の中心だからきっと聞こえるはず。
我が指は龍脈を指し、我が手は天地をかける音を紡がん。僕が守るから。
私が守ってるの。
エイダの話だから見てみたい。
おしゃべり荷物め。
もういい。
あなたとなんて出会わなければよかった。
龍脈を探すのはあんたらのお箱じゃなかった。
龍脈は諦めなさい。お前に何ができる？龍脈で屍になるだけだ。
絶対に見つかるもん。
龍脈は常に活路あり。奏でましょう。龍脈を追い続ければいつか彼女にたどり着ける。私はそう信じている。
うん、必ず故郷に来てもらうわ。私が大好きなところ。
Are you ready to get in shape with Let's Get Fit? Train with one of our 4 unique coaches, each with their own expertise. Follow pre-made workouts and programs ranging from soft gymnastics to high-intensity exercises. Let's Get Fit offers workouts for each level of fitness, from beginners to professionals. Create an infinite number of custom workouts with the easy-to-use workout generator. Mix and match different disciplines and focus on certain areas to tailor workouts to your personal needs. Make every move count with the Joy-Con controller's motion tracking. Test your fitness limits with daily challenges. Stay on track with the in-game calendar and join the competition. Unlock trophies, achievements, and compare your progress with other players through the online leaderboard. Time to get fit with Let's Get Fit!
Hello, my name is Mike Yeomans, and I'm a lighting lead here at Motive. Today my teammates and I are going to talk a bit about the lighting on Dead Space Remake. First of all, we're going to talk about how we are recreating the fantastic lighting design of Dead Space 1. We'll follow up with our lighting process and advances in real-time lighting. And lastly, we'll show you how we create an immersive sense of atmosphere, which is an important visual pillar for us. Dead Space had iconic design down to the last detail, and the lighting fixtures weren't left out of this equation. They just felt unique and that they fit into the design of the ship perfectly. We have reimagined the lighting design of the Ishimura and Valor, staying true to the originals while creating additional fixtures that fit into this established direction. The fixture design feels modern while the bulb technology feels grounded in the present day. We are creating the illusion of depth in our fixtures so you can see the inner workings of the bulb beyond the glass using emissive shaders with a parallax effect. The brightness of the fixture respects the intensities of their real-world counterparts, and our lighting system uses the surface area of our emissive surfaces to determine how bright the bulbs get. Our volumetric lighting creates realistic cones of light that are unique to each fixture design, so we get really interesting shards of light with a hint of color. Much like in the real world, we use Kelvin temperature to determine the hue of our lights, so once again they feel familiar to what you would expect in real life. Area lights were previously reserved mostly for cinematics due to their increased performance cost. We are using them more extensively in Dead Space Remake, as they help to create convincing specular shapes, diffused lighting and shadows, and a more accurate volumetric shape. Simply put, they have lighting qualities that standard spotlights just can't achieve. Area lights make the most sense for rectangular-looking light fixtures such as signage. It would have been hard to reproduce the lighting from these types of sources with more punctual lights.
Hi, my name is Mathieu Tétrault, and I'm a senior lighting artist on Dead Space Remake. Our lighting artists are able to craft the lighting in real time and control exactly how much indirect light, or global illumination, is bouncing around the scene. In previous game, we had to do offline calculation to pre-compute lighting and apply it to geometry in the form of light maps. This was time-consuming for artists and will limit any drastic lighting changes. Our remake is using a new GPU probe system, which allows real-time approximation of indirect light. Artists can get direct feedback from the change and can better match the amazing concept art. Our tools allow lighting artists to visualize individual lighting passes and material properties, to isolate issues and iterate on quality. As each light is activated and dialed in, we can see the bounce lighting react in real time. This approach was essential to ensure we can accommodate all the drastic lighting changes that occur in real time in front of the player. Scary lighting changes, quarantine, light flickering. We place fixture in the ship much like it would have been assembled in a shipyard. Then we give an area a distinct character by changing the behavior and setting on each fixture instance. This allows each area to have its own signature mood, ambience, and level of horror. We focus on developing credible light behavior, such as flickering, that is specific to different types of light, from fluorescent to incandescent and halogen. Imagine an old fluorescent light tube constantly flickering while trying to turn on. In this video, we can see how the electrical current is driving the behavior of different fixture technology, from fluorescent to incandescent.
Hi, I'm Guillaume Goudreau. I'm a lead outsource lighter on Dead Space team. In game development, we often use fog to help simulate atmospheric perspective and add ambience to a level. It is used to communicate a sense of depth and detach the different elements of the background. In Dead Space, the atmosphere of the ship is one of the key contributors of the sense of horror. To create that atmosphere, we've gone one step further. We are putting a lot of energy into creating a realistic volumetric fog solution. First, we need a lot of control to create the dreadful atmosphere expected in Dead Space. With our system, we can simulate a layered fog approach. We have control over the texture that move and shift inside of the fog. We can control the speed of the movement and detail in the texture. We can recreate a fog creeping along the floor. We have also control over the absorption. It gives the feeling of a thick, dense smoke that absorbs light. Very much like the smoke that collects on the ceiling during a fire. We can also control the color of the fog for those moments when we need a little extra punch. Second, we need a convincing light interaction with the fog. When we combine our lighting and the fog, we immediately see the impact. We can easily sculpt and tweak the shard of light cutting across the room. It really adds a lot to a scene. We can go from the simplest environment to a gloomy looking scene. Lastly, we need something flexible. Whenever we have a big change and we need to adjust the mood of the scene, we can animate and adjust the environment fog. This is especially useful when we do transition from the inside of the USG Ishimura to the outside. We will be able to contrast the heavy ambience of our interior with the complete lack of atmosphere in the outer space.
Inquisitors come to the Veil to seek purpose in their punishment. Purpose? Fools. In the Shroud Alliance, we cull the Inquisition with righteous steel.
But if we turn against one another, the mages will triumph. Join the Dawnlight Order. Help your fellow marked Inquisitors.
Whichever paths you choose, to whichever factions you swear fealty, remember why you are here. All mages must die.
Mech systems online.
Heart-stopping mech battling action only available in VR. We're talking 32 mechs, 5 maps, 4 modes, and an insane 20-mission single-player campaign.
There are civilians out there who need us. They can't fight back. They can't escape. And they can't heal their own wounds. That's our job. And we're the best at it. By being careful and compassionate, we can make the world a safer place for everyone. We do this to be of service, and we can't afford to be complacent. When we go out there, we work twice as hard to protect others. Whatever we have to do, we put the people first.
Get them out of here!
That will be our focus. With unwavering diligence, we defend. And we get to say that when Wolfguard is on the field, things will be different.
Our collaboration with G.I. Joe starts now! Download now, play for free.
These creatures consume life.
Those who let themselves be lured into the trap will be whisked away by a swift gale, the embodiment of darkness, as they are slowly drained of their life. The darkness will show itself, basking in moonlight.
On my honor as a knight, I will end you. We will prevail. Hold nothing back. A worthy adversary indeed. Sorry to keep you waiting. We must bring peace back to Komura and the kingdom.
Together. Going on a quest with you two is gonna be fun.
So, you have returned. Were your first investigations fruitful? I dug deep into the archives for you and found even greater old legends. Well, well, my dear, it is time to go and burn rubber, as they say. Remember to check the pictures, notes, and diaries of these new stories to get hints and answers. Find even greater iconic locations with more original rewards. Set out to explore the land, high and low, far and wide, and all that. Please do not keep your discoveries for yourself. It is quite exciting to learn of treasures. Treasures such as these cars for you to discover and collect. The archives remain open to you, always offering stories and quests.
This is a warning. If you are easily scared, if the sight of blood makes you ill, if you have an unusual fear of trees, deer, demons, deadites, or chainsaws, this game may be too much for you.
Swallow your soul. Similar that if I kick you, swallow your soul. Evil dead, yeah. Crazy flow, see that boomstick? Get your boom boom click, my flow. Make the room sick, then put the 666 below. Y'all like. This is Necronomical music. What else would you expect from the Necronomical, stupid? Get some, go get some. Get some, go get some. Click, click, boom, boom.
Evil Dead, the game.
Groovy.
Let's shite again. What in the... Come on, Bird. Can I learn this with you? Can I see? What in the... I can't move.
The serum is stable. Enough. You'll be cleared for active duty.
Great. I'll just be a minute. Where'd I leave my caber?
The final act of traitor Aaron Keener was to activate his rogue network. Across the US, agents loyal to his cause activated, sapping the division's resources and attention. Amid the chaos that followed, Black Tusk commander Barton Schaefer made a play for New York. rallying rogue agents embedded with the Outcasts, Rikers, Hyenas, and True Sons. Schaefer had become too powerful a threat to ignore. The Division hunt down and neutralize him, but find he was following someone else's orders. Former New York acting commander Fei Lao had turned her back on the Division and was now working with the Black Tusk. Fei is entrusted by the mercenary group's mysterious owner, Natalia Sokolova, with guarding their most valuable asset, President Ellis. When intel shows that Lao is at Camp White Oak with Ellis, the Division move in. But they arrive to find a shocking scene. Fei Lao has assassinated the president and blamed the Division for it. Left with no choice, the agents are forced to kill Fei Lao. Nobody felt her betrayal and her loss harder than Kelso. Why had her former comrade turned her back on the Division? What was her mission? And can the Division survive what comes next?
Team Southtown! Bring it, Tom.
Billy Khan. Ryuji Yamazaki.
捕まえたぜ。
You cannot escape from this. Geese Howard.
母さんを見捨てたお前だけは絶対にこの手で。
貴様とこの場で相まみえるとは非なるものだ。これもまた運命か。
Perceptible. Blazing. Die, maggot.
KOF 15.
Come on.
in here.
It's time we raise the stakes.
Let's get this party started!
Beautiful, my friend!
Peace out, people trash.
Hi, my name is Roy Toison, and I am the Associate Art Director for the Dead Space Remake. Today, I want to talk to you about the environment art process, how we are remaking the game with our new tools, techniques, and pipelines, and finally do a demo in the Frostbite engine on how we took a room from the legacy version to our current work in progress. Today, we are going to look at the MRI room in Chapter 2. When Dead Space was released more than 14 years ago, the visuals were great. It set the bar high for its time. But since then, technology has evolved, and with that, it allowed us to remake the game and really accentuate the main pillars of horror, immersion, and a lived-in world. Let me quickly go over our process with you. On the environment side, we break down our pipeline into 6 phases that go from L0 to L5. L0 is our R&D phase where we analyze the original game and identify what we can remake this area, either through gameplay, visuals, sound, etc. Based off any changes, we would do some exploration concepts to improve on the art pillars. L1. This phase is when the area will be playable, with rough blockout of the visual intentions. When recreating a room in Frostbite, the artist will break it down into kits, pieces that they can use to build the room. Think of this as Lego blocks. They will be simple shapes, sizes that represent the theme of the room. L2 is where details and colors are added into the kits to support the thematic of the area. Large props are staged, and the initial mood will be set. L3 is where we start to update the different PBR materials to a more realistic look, add more props to support the theme, and refine the lighting and VFX. You should start to get that immersive feeling by having the area more relatable and believable. L4 is where we add all the narrative elements. All the architectural kits get a polish pass with a wear and tear. Small props, signs, markings, bloodstains, dirt, and grime are added to get that lived-in world feeling and give that horror storytelling element. L5 is where the polished elements of all the art department gets integrated to give that final high-quality next-gen Dead Space look and feel. This will be coming soon. Just to get a proper understanding of where we are in the production for this area, we are here in the beginning stages of our L4 phase. Now that you know how we work, we want to next demonstrate how we will remake these assets. Here is an example of a legacy asset, and here are some of the elements we plan on adding to get that immersive feeling throughout the ship. We want to show functionality. Rivets in the metal to show how it was put together. Latches on the window frames to show how the workers can remove it if it ever needed to be repaired. The variation in our PBR materials, the way light reacts to different types of painted metal versus the raw metal underneath. More realistic light fixtures. The dirty glass cover protects the light sources, giving that depth and more realistic feel. Add more shape and depth to the model to give it that believable look. To get that old live-in ship look, we added wear and tear to the paint metal and dirt accumulation in areas that would not normally get cleaned. Now that we've highlighted a few examples of how we are going to remake an asset, in our next section, we want to put you in the seat of an artist and show you how our tools, techniques, and pipeline works.
Hi there, I'm Evan Jovanovic, Senior Environment Artist on the Dead Space Remake, and I'm going to give you a closer look at how we make assets for the Ishimura. Here is an example wall asset as it passes through all the various stages of production. L1, raw model made to specific metrics for maximum reuse. L2, further refined modeling and color paths added. L3, more modeling details are added, custom masks are baked to control grime and wear using in-engine tools. L4, fine trim and embedded details are added as well as beveled edges. Next, we will have a look in Maya to see how the color path is achieved. Here in Maya, we'll be using the Palette UV tool created by our tech team to help change the colors of our wall mesh. On the right-hand side, we can see the UV coordinates of the model, which correspond to the mesh's faces. As I click the different swatches in the UV palette tool, the UV shells are moved to different quadrants, resulting in a color change. By using this palette system, we are able to keep colors consistent to art direction and swap in different palette textures for each district theme, such as clean, industrial, and public, depending on the assets used within the ship. Now, let's dig into how some of our mesh details are achieved. Here in Blender, I'm going to show you one of our trim sheet texture sets I made by rebuilding and remixing details from the original Dead Space into a new texture layout. As we can see, this texture set uses parallax occlusion mapping, which allows you to mimic depth and details on an otherwise very simple geometry. One technique we have explored for applying these texture sets on models is using the third-party add-on Decal Machine to define specific parts of the texture set to a library, which can then be easily swapped and adjusted on the model. As you can see, this technique makes it fun to try out different trim combinations and can produce some interesting results. Here we will apply the same library to the wall example we saw before. Through use of these trim textures, we are able to quickly try different approaches and create consistent details. We try our best to focus on how these models would actually be constructed, creating panel lines where pieces meet and connect, as well as adding handles and access points where parts could be removed for maintenance and cleaning.
Hi, I'm Xavier Perrault, and I am the lead environment artist on the Dead Space Remake. I will be talking more in the details about our approach to level art and how we set the tone of the different areas of the ship and tell the story of the Ishimura through our environments. We have now the architectural modules modeled and their mask baked using our engine tool. The masks will define how the wear and grime build up on each of the modules. You can tell how the edges are scratched and how rust sits in the creases. The architectural shader reads those masks, and by tuning the parameters of the master shader, we can control the amount of wear and grime in a whole section of the ship at once. The shader defines the ground state of the architecture visuals, but at this point it all looks the same everywhere. The world masking volumes come in play. They are fully scalable and can be used in many ways for multiple layering effects. We can increase the amount of wear or rust built up on the assets, or even add new layers on top, like water or dust, for instance. Of course, these techniques are better applied once the assets are put in context, in the level. Tuning the master shader and adding volumes of world masking are an integral part of defining the storytelling of the ship and how it has aged over time. With a growing library of architectural modules, they can be assembled to fully build all the sections of the Ishimura as one big interconnected ship in line with our metric guidelines. Then comes the main lighting intentions and the props dressing. We always ask ourselves what the function of that room is, how do we make it believable, and tell the story of the people that live there and how the events took place. Projected decals of labeling and gore are the icing on the cake. Going a step further, we can add a few world masking volumes to wear down the floor in a realistic way where people used to stand and walk around in this setup. Maybe a water canister fell over near that desk and leaked all over the floor. But that was a while ago, and rust built up all around it.
After seeing our pipeline, tools, and in-engine demo, using the small room besides the MRI machine, you can see in this before and after comparison, we remade this room to accentuate the art pillars even more. We want the player to believe that the Ishimura crew worked here, that the functionality of this room makes sense, and you can even imagine yourself working in this environment. If I take this part of the room, for example, before there used to be some shelves, lockers, and props around the wall with some writing on the ground. We remade it to have more immersive and believable theme. We made this corner of the room more functional by adding an examination bed with medical equipment. We gave that lived-in world by aging the walls and floors with some wear and tear, added dirt and grime. This is the oldest functioning mining ship. We wanted to make sure that came through in the environment. Finally, we injected the horror pillar into this room with a bloody narrative scene on the bed and floor. We want to insinuate that something horrible happened here and give that sense of danger looming around every corner. Thank you for joining us on this behind-the-scene look at the environment art process.